Hello, this is Broyar, and welcome back to another episode of our Let's Play for U-Boat. I want to start off by saying a couple things. First off, I apologize for any delay in videos here. This is just a hobby for me, so if life gets in the way, unfortunately, my hobby of doing YouTube videos does have to be the first thing that disappears. Second of all, I'm actually just watching a video right now because a recent Windows update messed up my settings on my recording PC, and I did not realize it, so unfortunately, we didn't get the audio, so I'm gonna have to kind of cover over this video. We're going about 1.5 speed, so I can get through it pretty quickly here. We did just give us an upgrade to our torpedo guy. I gave him a little bit of torpedo boost. I was just checking out the discipline levels to see if we can go out on another patrol without having to worry about resting yet. I think we can go out one more patrol. We are going to go ahead and fill up our fuel here, get any new items that we want. We got a decent chunk of money here, 40,000 buckaroos. But we do want to check a few things here. I want to make sure that I have the skill to get rid of, to blow up ships on my own. I do not have that yet in this save. So we will need to pick up the dynamite from the merchant here. So we'll go ahead and grab that. As far as anything else, I'm going to go ahead and grab a few other things, but we might come back and get the gun here in just a moment. Also taking a look at the champagne to see what it gives us. I forgot what it gave us. It does give us a little bit of restored discipline overall. We will grab some more lubricant here. Always good to top that off as much as we can. As far as anything else, we did use a little bit of bullets in the last run, I believe. So we'll go ahead and grab some more ammunition for our gun. Top that off, at least in that first slot there. And then, of course, we will fill up our torpedoes. Still using the cheap torpedoes because there's no sense in spending money on these at the moment. Once we get better technology for torpedoes, we might look at that as well. The other thing I want to do is check out the any upgrades we have available. We don't have any at the moment, so no use spending money on those. And then we are also going to check out our food situation to make sure our food looks okay here in just a moment. I was taking a look to see how far away from the next submarine we were. We are still 16,000 tons away. I don't know if we'll be able to get that in the next patrol, but hopefully that is a goal, is to get as much tonnage in the next patrol so we can go ahead and get that, assuming that we can go on the tonnage war patrol, that is, because part of the thing that we're doing with this save is that we do have the darkness turned down. I did go ahead and grab the gun here, as you can see. We do have the darkness turned down. However, which is lowering the difficulty rating to 98% or something like that. But in order to get it back up to 100% for the save you guys saw in the first episode, I went ahead and turned it on so we only have one option when we go to the guy that gives us missions. And so because of that, we might not get a tonnage war mission. We'll have to see here in a bit. I am going to go ahead and just put the vegetables in here. We're going to go and sell those potatoes just so we can get kind of a stockpile of good stuff here from the vendor. Make sure we just kind of keep that 4 food items, keep everything tip top as much as possible. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look here, sell those potatoes, and then we will grab the more bread. We'll grab some more fish, and we'll grab some preserved pork, I believe, in just a moment. No more vegetables at the market, but that's okay. We got plenty of vegetables for a little while. We're gonna go ahead and get everything loaded up here. And I do want to go ahead and check out our missions here. We are going to go ahead and look and see if we can get us something new from the reputation guy, because we do have 3 points of reputation at the moment. I don't think we want to get another officer just yet, but we might do that at some point. We could do free roam, but I don't know. I kind of like the idea of getting the missions. And at the bottom, we could also take an option that gives us more missions from this guy. So instead of having the one mission, we can actually spend reputation to get more mission choices back, which we might do at some point. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and take the headquarters influences here so we can soon start sending officers on missions in the headquarters, although we don't have another officer at the moment. I don't think we have any available. We do not. We could promote somebody. I'm not going to worry about that just yet because some of the missions actually give us officers. I'm going to look at the recruiting thing here. We'll free some survivors and we'll see if there's any officers here at all. There are not. So again, we will hold off for just a little bit longer until we can either go on a mission to get us an officer or we decide to promote one of our other guys. We are going to take a look at see what missions are available. Scapa Flow just became available. And then so did Enigma Recovery. Again, we're still hoping for a tonnage war mission here, which we do get. If we can get 16,000 on this next tonnage war mission, we will get the blueprints. Now 16,000 is about 4 ships or roundabouts. That's a pretty tall order. I think on average we usually get about 1 or 2 ships. I think we've gotten 3 once. I don't know that we've ever gotten 4. So that is a pretty tall order, but I don't know that there's any guarantees that we will in fact get another tonnage war mission after this. So we kind of want to just see if we can get 4 if at all possible. So that way we have the opportunity to just finish this now, get that blueprint, and then if they send us on other missions for other places, we don't have to worry about that at all. So we are going to go ahead and plot in a course here. I did forget to kind of leave port to there. Not a big deal. But I think I'm telling you guys now at this point that I will be bringing you guys back to see if we found us another ship, which we did right away. As you can see, I've been tracking the ship for quite some time. And it's somewhere out here in the dark. There it is. We can't see a flag on this ship, weirdly enough. I'm not sure what causes it to not show the flag. I'm not sure if that's intentional, like a part of the game, or if that's a bug. I don't know if I've ever seen a ship not flying a flag before. My thought process here is to get kind of alongside its path that we have determined it to be on, and then see if we can run parallel to it at about 2,000 meters, and then kind of approach it from there. One thing I was noticing here, though, is that it looks like it might have turned a little bit, and we're actually going to find out here in just a moment that it has, in fact, turned and changed courses, which does mean that our plan to kind of go alongside it, run parallel to it, is actually not going to work out. So we'll see that here in just a moment. We are making the turn. Again, it was on that original path, but it somehow, somewhere along the way, made a turn. I'm actually looking for it to the right, and I'm like, wait a minute, where is it? That's just because I had not visually. I thought it might have been off a different course, but I didn't think it was this much. And I'm like, where is it? Where is it? And it's actually on the left-hand side of the ship here in just a minute. We will find out here in just a moment. So it did ultimately change courses quite drastically, actually, from what we had originally plotted it on. So it's out here somewhere. I'm not sure. We'll find it here in a minute. Yeah, I think it is on the left-hand side, if I remember correctly. I'm being very careful trying to find it. I'm like, where is this thing? Do I dive down to try and find it in a second? Not yet. I think we're still going to take another look at it. Because again, we knew it was on this course, and we're just like, where did it go? How could it have possibly disappeared? It's about this time that I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just way off of where it could be. And sure enough, somewhere out here. There it is. It's just complete. I mean, that is a drastic course change. Very drastic course change from where it was originally. So we still see it here. It still has no flag flying, which again is very, very strange. But we are going to go ahead and plot a course for the ship over here and try and chase it down, because obviously we can go faster than it can on the surface. So we're just going to go ahead and turn around, start chasing after it. Again, still not really seeing a flag. I'd like to use a torpedo here, save our dynamite for as long as possible. So it's about this point. We do see the name Empire Lancelot. And I'm going to assume, even though we can't see flags, I'm going to assume that Empire Lancelot sounds very much like a British named ship. So we are going to just assume it's a British named ship. Probably a bit of a gamble here, because if it's not somehow, but we could get in trouble. Look how big of a drastic course change that was. Big course change from the original course it was on. But again, we are going to plot a course here, and we're actually going to go ahead and just shoot a torpedo at it from a trailing position here. I could try and track alongside it, get beside it, and things like that. But honestly, there's no reason why we couldn't hit a shot from trailing it behind it, as long as we get it lined up properly. It actually would disengage, kind of destroy the engines and destroy the ability for the ship to move, which means that if we don't quite sink it yet, we would have the ability to sink it either with guns or through another torpedo in a better position. So we are going to go ahead and just plot it out here. It does look like it's an Empire Explorer here. Velocity, we know it's about 8 knots. Angle on bow, it's basically going straight in front of us. We are a little bit off to its... Actually, I got that backwards. We were on the right-hand side. Not a big deal. I think I corrected here in a minute, but I'm trying to get the distance here while we're bobbing and weaving. Not great. I can't wait for us to get the Uzo on the deck so that we can start doing torpedo shots from the deck. I don't think that comes until the Type 7, unfortunately, but as soon as we do get that, that will be great. We are going to go ahead and get a torpedo maintained. We've got our second in charge, our executive officer there doing the torpedo calculations already. And we're just going to kind of plot out a little bit of an expectation of where the ship is at and just try to close the gap a little bit. I don't want to do like a hugely long shot, but at some point we are just going to accept the fact that a shot from trailing is probably just about as good as anything, and it's worth trying, I mean, if we miss it, then we can adjust and we can do something different. But it's kind of fun to try different shots at different times to see what we can do here. So we're just going to try and get a little bit closer here. We are presumably going faster than the ship is. Not sure if I'm lining the shot up yet. I don't think I am. I think I'm about to get a little bit closer here in just a moment. Just to try to give us the best chance possible of getting a good shot on this ship. Now it actually looks like it's turning a little bit to the left, which is a little bit strange, but maybe just because we've swung a little further right than this ship was originally, but that's okay. We'll get lined up here in just a moment. Make sure we're kind of pointing at the ship again. Pretty rough waters. I mean, we can see the waters coming across the deck of the sub. pretty regularly, but I think we'll be fine with the torpedo shot here in just a moment. Again, just a little bit ahead of us. We're going to go ahead and, I think, plot a shot here. I believe we're actually going to go ahead and dive down in just a moment. We did dive down just to make sure that we have a little bit of stability in the periscope. And we'll go ahead and just, again, we're almost directly behind this ship. A little bit maybe to the right, barely. We're just going to go ahead and plot that in. Again, 8 knots. Good thing about, you know, shooting a shot from back here, yeah, it's a much narrower target. 100% I get that. But it is, you know, the angle on the bow is almost irrelevant because as long as we're pretty lined up, it's going to be straight ahead of us. Like this is a pretty easy shot here. So we're going to go ahead and get into the torpedo here. We've already got it maintained, I believe, unless a little bit of time passed. We might have to maintain it again. Nope, we got it. We're good. And everything's synchronized. We're going to shoot a little bit to the left because it looks like it's curved just, turn just slightly to the left. And we will go ahead and shoot the shot in just a moment. There it goes. Fire away. And let's go ahead and track that torpedo and see if we actually do, in fact, get a good shot here. Immediately, it looks like, based on the ship's kind of slight tilt to the left, and the torpedo's currently slight tilt to the right, it actually looks like we're going to end up missing behind the ship a little bit. It's going to be very, very close here. But I don't know if it's just the torpedo, just the visual here that I'm trying to see where the torpedo's at. But it actually looks like either the torpedo turns, or I was just kind of gauging. I think the torpedo turns, honestly. I think the torpedo went out a few hundred yards and then just slightly turned a little bit. And we are actually going to get a very, very good shot directly, almost dead center of the rear of the ship. And obviously, presumably, destroy anything, any chance of the ship moving at all. Now, whether we sink it or not, we'll find out here. But the ship should be dead in the water. And again, if we have to pull alongside it and put some rounds into it to sink it the rest of the way, or another torpedo, we have that option as well. So it does look like it's sinking pretty heavily, though. It's going down pretty quickly in the rear there. We are looking at the name again, Empire Landslide. Still don't see any flags. Not a single flag. I'm still at this point kind of wondering, did I make a mistake trying to sink this ship? Am I about to get flagged or something? But we're still assuming that this is a British ship. Again, I'm not exactly sure why it's not running any flags. A little strange. We are going to go ahead and pull up next to the ship and hopefully be able to engage with the lifeboats here in just a moment. And we did get credit there. As you can see, finally we did get the credit for 4,131 tons. So that's a good start to our thing. Again, we need 16,000 tons. So at that rate, we would still need 3 more ships if at all possible. We are going to try and get closer here, engage with the lifeboats, pull on any survivors that we want to keep for reputation purposes, as well as get a little bit of reputation by giving them some supplies. And we'll do that here in just a moment. But a good first start to this patrol. I mean, not the best shot. Again, we weren't expecting that course change, but I think we recovered from that course change well enough, and it proves that we can shoot a shot directly behind a ship, and it does work out relatively well as long as we get the get a good shot right at the dead center point, more or less. If the torpedo had gone either to the left or the right, it could have grazed the side of the ship, and obviously therefore we would not have gotten any sort of explosion whatsoever. So a little bit of a risky shot, but at the same time, again, because it's moving almost directly straight ahead of us, the actual bearing of the ship almost is irrelevant at that point. And speed, honestly. It honestly didn't matter if that ship was going 6 knots or 10 knots. Our torpedo's faster. It would have eventually caught up with it again, assuming it was straight on. So that's a good start to our patrol. We're very early in our patrol here. We do very quickly skip ahead, and we do find us another ship. We're actually over here very close to Edinburgh. We are assuming, because it's going for England, and we can see that this ship is absolutely positively going for England. We've been tracking this actually, we got tracking data from another submarine, which is where I got all the information. It gave us bearing, it gave us speed and everything. We just didn't know exactly where in that first quadrant it started. So that's why you see a little bit of a shift in the line here. But otherwise, it was a very much tracked by another sub. We've been tracking this one for quite some time. We've actually had to speed over here pretty quickly. We've already used up about 1/3 of our fuel overall to get here. But we do see the ship ahead of us. We know where it's at. It almost doesn't matter what nationality the ship is. We know it's going for England. We know that we can sink this ship. But we're going to try to adjust a little bit ahead of it, so that way we can get a better shot. Because it's trailed a little bit past us. We're going to try to get a little bit ahead of it. That way we can submerge if we want to get a good shot that way. So that's why I do a little bit of a change of course here to try and get a little bit ahead of the ship, more or less. And we are going to see the ship here in just a moment. Finally, we did see smoke earlier, but we are, I think, officially going to see the ship in just a moment, unless I already missed it. There it is. We do see red flags, but it's hard to tell from this distance if it is British or Norwegian or some other nationality that I'm not familiar with, it might have red flags as well. So we are going to go ahead and just try and plot out a good spot to plan our torpedo shot. Get a little bit closer here. We are on the edge of clear sight right now, which means that that ship could see us at any point. So we've got to be a little bit careful. It is currently at, right there on the edge there. You can see we're plotting out exactly where the ship is at. 8,700 meters at the moment. Again, clear sight for us, which presumably is very likely clear sight for them. It's got to go 13 kilometers. We've got to go 12. The good news about that is it's probably going 8 knots, what we had determined previously, and we can go 7.5 knots underwater. So we can basically get to this point that I want to get to at the same time the ship gets to where I want it to be. So actually submerging here right away is actually not going to be a problem here. We're going to be able to close this gap exactly the way we want to with this ship. So that's exactly what we do is we go ahead and go periscope, and we're going to go ahead and zip along here and get a little bit closer here. So you can see we are still hearing the ship. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That is actually a different ship. We are hearing a different ship than the one we've spotted. So now you can see that there are 2 ships out there somewhere. We are going to try and take care of this first ship first, but it is interesting to note that there is another ship a little bit to our left of the course that we're heading on right now that presumably is coming out of Edinburgh. And so we might be able to engage that ship here in a moment as well. Maybe get 2 ships for the price of 1, more or less. It could be a warship though. We'll have to see. Hopefully we can engage this first freighter before we get that second ship. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I can see down there in the bottom right-hand corner, Jareski actually tells us that 345 degrees is a merchant ship. So we do have 2 merchant ships approaching us at this point in time. Or 1 we're chasing and 1 approaching, I should say. So we're going to go ahead and get set up here, get ready to start plotting in some of the details for the torpedo calculator. We'll get that going here in just a moment. Getting everybody assigned to some duties. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put him on listen for comms here. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and, as soon as our guy gets to the periscope, we are going to go ahead and try and get a good bearing on this first ship. See if we can line up a good torpedo shot on it. It's a little bit to our right. I think it's about, what was it, about 45 degrees at this point? 50, there we go. 55 degrees. So still a bit, in a good angle. We're still trying to close this gap. Still can't quite see the flag on this ship, unfortunately. But we do believe it is an Empire Tower. We can see the towers in the back. That's the easiest way to determine that. Very nice of them to do that. And we are about 4,100 meters away from it at this point in time. A good shot would probably be around, it gets to about 30 degrees. So we're going to check again here around 45 degrees. That is the goal. And hope that we can plot a good angle on the ship here in just a moment. We're going to go ahead and plug in all the details for the torpedo calculator though. That way we don't have too much to adjust later on when we are ready to actually fire the shot. We'll lock that in and get ready to fast forward again here in a moment just to get a little bit closer here. Go ahead and maintain our torpedo. Hopefully, like I said, we're going to try to really lock in the shot around the 45 degree mark, and with a plan to shoot around 30 degrees on this particular ship is the goal. Close to 50 degrees, a few more degrees. We're getting close to where we want to be. It is an Empire Tower. We know that already. We are seeing smoke on the horizon as well. So that appears to be that other ship coming very, very close to us. We'll go ahead and get a plot here in just a moment. About 3,100 meters away from us right now. That's not bad. And exactly where we expect it to be. This is good. This is perfect of what we're hoping for. We're closing the gap. Still got a good lineup for a really good shot here in just a moment. 106.9 is the degrees here. Unfortunately, I believe I accidentally I typed this in without the negative here in just a moment. Do I? No, I don't. Okay, we're still good. I think in just a moment I make a mistake plugging it, but thankfully I do fix it. So if you do see that, I will fix it before we actually engage here in just a moment. Maybe I'm thinking about a different situation. Again, we're going to try and get it to about 30 degrees here. And that's going to be the plan to actually trigger the shot itself. So far, we've tracked this ship really, really well. Now, it's possible it changes direction a little bit as it's trying to get close to port, right? So we got to be a little bit careful here. We're going to check it around 35 degrees here just to kind of make sure we have plenty of time to adjust if something has changed. But as of right now, we're expecting the ship to be a little bit ahead of, you know, us to the right. Definitely, we could actually fire a shot off now. We can fire a shot off anytime now. I mean, this is looking pretty good so far. About 2,600 meters now at the moment. We're checking the distance just manually just to make sure that that is in fact accurate. Just to see if it has changed course or anything else that we're not expecting. As best I could tell, we're actually getting 3,100 meters. I don't know how far off I'm going to be calling that, but we'll just accept it's somewhere out there. And it might be a little bit further away. It's possible. We're going to check the angle again here just to see if anything's wrong with that. 112.5 is what we got. This is where I actually type in the 112, which is the wrong. If I had fired a torpedo at this point, it would have been wrong because it's a negative 112, not a positive 112. Thankfully, again, it does become irrelevant here in a moment. So just FYI, whoopsie, but it is what it is. We are getting a little bit low on electricity at the moment because we've been going pretty heavy speed here, trying to track this ship down. Still sitting at 3,100 meters is what we're seeing it as. So it's possible it's changed course slightly from what we originally had. In fact, we actually are going to plug in the 3,100 meters here in just a moment at that angle and see if we can get a good idea of where the ship is actually at and get a good idea of what kind of bearing the ship is actually going on. We know where it was pretty far back, right? We know very, very solidly where it was in the past. So it does look like it's possible it has changed course slightly to get into port. So we're actually going to recheck the numbers here on the angle because we've got everything else pretty good correct, but we're going to just assume that it's turned just slightly. And that's where I realized my mistake and flip it back over to the left-hand side. So there we're good again. And we're ready to plug something in here. I'm ready to potentially shoot a shot here soon. But this is when I noticed that it is a Norwegian ship. Now we know it's going to England. 99.9% sure it's going to England. I mean, could it turn around? Theoretically, but unlikely, right? So we know it's going to England. So I could shoot a torpedo at this ship right now. That is 100% true. I am checking to see what the bearing from our hydrophone guy is saying the ship is at, but I don't actually trust that. So, or not the hydrophone guy. This is from the visual intercept. But I don't really trust that. It just looks wrong. So we're just going to ignore that. We're going to try and track a little bit further ahead because it is further away than we had originally expected. But because it's a Norwegian ship, we're actually going to go ahead and surface and we're going to track the ship down and we're going to talk to it. I want to make sure. I don't want any mistakes. I don't want to end this career because I accidentally sunk a ship. As you can see right there, by the way, did y'all see the blip of another ship on the left-hand side? Yeah. So we're checking this ship. We know it's Norwegian. We know that we want to engage the ship and talk to it to confirm that it is in fact a heading towards that port. But as you can see, that is the end of that episode. We're going to save that cliffhanger for the next episode. But there was briefly a blip of another ship on the left-hand side of us, and we will address that at the beginning of this next episode, as well as figuring out what to do about this Norwegian ship here in just a moment. But we got one ship already in this patrol. We found potentially two more. If the Norwegian ship's heading for England, then we're great, and the other ship presumably heading away from England, we're pretty confident of that. Then we might be able to get a couple more ships sunk here real quickly, which gets us very close to what we need for those 4 ships for this patrol. So we're going to put a cut in there. The next episode, again, unfortunately, is one that I will have to do a video voiceover of the video. But I only did record 2 episodes. We'll be fixed after that. So apologize for the weirdness. Hopefully you guys can bear with me. But I do appreciate you guys watching. May God bless you. And I hope you join me again next time. Thank you and goodbye. I wanted to give a special shout out to the following channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel.